Hi everyone, this is Tanya from Flying Dog Studio. Thank you so much for joining me as I do a little more experimenting with those Kuretake Gansai Tambi. And here they are. You may or may not have caught a couple videos back where I swatched these. I will link that down below. Those are the colors that came in the set. Now I still have the cadmium scarlet in there. I'm going to leave it in there for now. I'm not going to use it for this video. I also have these little swatches that I did in that video where I was checking out the greens, and I'm actually only going to use that one green even after swatching all of those out. These are the colors I did swatch ahead of time for this piece, and those are the numbers. I like that I can just write down numbers because see there's a number next to all of the names, and I did that to kind of decide what colors I needed for this piece because I am unfamiliar with these and how they work together. So I look for some shadow colors. You can see the numbers there. Now when I put those up on the screen, I'm not going to put numbers, I'm going to put actual names, but just for me, that's what I did. I also tried out my scrubber brush. This is from Royal and Langnickel to see how it worked for lifting colors with these, and you can see right there does a really good job. I just want to check that out in case I decided to use it. These are the brushes I have on hand. I have the Winsor & Newton from their Cotman series. I have a size 3 and a size 6 round because those don't hold quite as much water. Then I also have from the Royal and Langnickel my size 8 round because that does hold a lot of water. And at this point, I wasn't certain exactly what brushes I needed to use, what colors I needed to use because again, unfamiliar with this set. I'm normally using Winsor & Newton watercolor, and so I started in on this piece as if I were painting with those, and that was the wrong thing to do, which it was fine because somewhere in the middle of painting, the entire video just shut down on me. I missed like a 15-minute segment. So I thought that's an opportunity just to paint this over again, which meant I had to draw it over again. So this is the second drawing of that piece. So what you're seeing, if you go back and watch the inking of this, and I'll link all of this down below if you're wanting to follow along or you're just curious, it looks the same because what I did was I took my original inking, put it in my Procreate, and traced over my own drawing, and then used that to create another piece here. So I basically traced my own piece just to trace my own piece to make sure it was the same piece that you saw on here. So if you're wanting the drawing, that's what will be up on my blog. And again, all the links down below. So what I decided to do, and this is, I think, varies just a little bit from Beatrix Potter in that I am starting with a shadow. I'm not just laying down my colors again like I would with Winsor & Newton, like I feel she probably did. I'm putting an underpainting under here. I'm putting my shadows down first because the paints are so bright. I felt I had to do that, and because I wasn't getting the color I needed for this little yellow flower, it just was coming out to a sunflower yellow, and these are more of a buttery yellow. They're a real pretty little flower, but I could not duplicate that with painting straight from the Kuretake. I just couldn't get the mix. So I started all over and made that little swatching of all the colors and decided I would layer it like this. Now this is still a Beatrix Potter inspired piece. I am doing a study of the flower, and once I start putting the color on, you know, I'm varying a little bit from what I think she would have done by putting an underpainting and getting all the shadows in. But what I'm gonna paint it outside the line just a little bit, please excuse me there. But what I'm gonna do when I come back and put the color on top of this, once this dries, that will be more like Beatrix Potter because I'm gonna allow the colors to kind of mix right on the flower itself. I'm going to mix some over my palette, but then when I bring them over to the flower and start painting it on, I'm going to allow those colors to kind of mesh together. Now I have the kind of a blue-gray down there for the darker shadows because I know how these are going to layer. I practiced it ahead of time, so I'm bringing out that lemon yellow that is super, super bright. I like the yellow, but it almost looks like it's radioactive. So I'm going to calm it down a little bit with some yellow ochre because the yellow ochre was not really as bright as what I needed it to be for the petals. Then I'm going to add a little burnt sienna, and these are going to be kind of the orange colors underneath that are more of the orange shadows. So these are going next to the others. Now, the blue-gray shadow I put on there, that has already dried. So these aren't going to be mixing together. They are going to be layering. So that's my process for this point. I'm going to let you watch me do this, and you can enjoy some sounds from my studio window. And then I'm going to hop back on, and we're going to talk about the rest of the process. Just a few more paint strokes here, and then we are going to call that good for the day. And now it's an entirely new day. I was running out of daylight by the time I got to paint this, and so it's had plenty of time to dry. Again, I'm going to make the petal colors, and we're doing that lemon yellow, the yellow ochre, and this is going to go on top of everything we have already painted, mixing up a little bit of the pink. It's not really pink and it's not really purple. I don't even know what you would call the color, but these flowers are yellow on the tip of the petals, and as they go down to the inside, they turn to a very light lilac color, and I could actually get the exact color I needed from these paints, so I was excited about that. So I started with a little white and added that rose madder deep, and then a little ultramarine blue, and then I get that wonderful little purple that you see. You may have noticed that, much like if you've watched any of my other watercolor videos, I put some water down on the palette and then I put my colors over on top. With these Kuretake, you really have to wet down those paints before you start. I do that with my Winsor & Newton as well, but it seems like I have to do that a little more with these. And then I transfer it over to that little puddle of water, and that just keeps me from wasting product. I'm taking the yellow and I'm putting it on top of all of the colors that I had underneath. And as you can see, it's creating some wonderful shadows. This is just my first layer of these yellows because I'm trying to be careful and not get them too bright. In the process, they're not bright enough. So I'm going to have to add another layer. And what that will do is just build up that color and bring me to the yellow that I need for the flower. On the little test strip that I showed you earlier where I had tested the colors, the flip side of that was the original piece where I had practiced and then the camera quit. My daughter came through and she looked at them and she said, "This one is really bright and looks like you painted from your heart, and the one you're painting now looks like you're painting from your head." And it absolutely does. I couldn't agree with that more because these colors are super happy and super bright, but I really wanted something that was a bit more true to the color of the flower. So that's why I decided that it was good not to paint just as bright as I could, but to try to match the colors. Now this is the part that I was talking about that's more like Beatrix. I put the colors down. I'm having trouble with my brushes there, excuse me. I put the colors down and then I put a little bit of that purple down next to it with a smaller brush, and let those kind of blend together. You can see how they're kind of running together, and that's good because that's what it does on the flower. It kind of goes from the yellow down to that purple into the center of the flower. So this is going to be my process for this part. I'm putting on all of the light colors on top right now, on top of all of the shadows, and I'm going to use that little purple that I mixed up there into the center of the flower. I like to show kind of a wide shot so you see the palette as I'm mixing up these colors. When we start adding on in just a few minutes the colors on top of this, I'm going to focus again right back in a little closer like I've done here, but I'm going to grab some colors off of the palette, and I'll tell you about those as I do that. But we're going to put these colors on. I'm going to let it completely dry before we come back and layer again. And I have layered before with Beatrix's work because it's the only way I could duplicate her end product. So I had to layer on things. Not sure she did, but that's what worked and actually mimicked her art. So we're going to finish this up, and then we're going to let it dry, and then we're going to come back and put on the final layers. And now it has dried, and there's your green. That's the only green you're going to get after all of that green swatching. That's it. That's the only green. This is the same day. This is not a third day. This is the second day. And what I did, it's again summer down south. So I just opened my window, slid this on my windowsill along with my palette because I wanted those colors on the palette to kind of dry up just a bit so I could add only a tiny bit of water and my color is more concentrated. And you can see I now have achieved the buttery yellow that is this flower. So I was much more pleased with this, and it helped the shadows out quite a bit as well. It really brought it all together. And I do have to apologize. I keep saying palette when I mean pans. I'm painting from my palette, and on the other side of that are the pans. So when I reach over in just a few minutes and grab some colors out of the pans and put it on the palette, I will tell you what colors I am using. But as you can see, the colors underneath are dry, and by adding more on top with this layering, it really brightens it up. It's still not to the painting with your heart colors, as my daughter calls them. It's still more painting with my head. And that got me thinking, I really want to do some more painting with your heart pieces. So in an upcoming video, and I think it will be after this one, as you're watching this one, I'm going to have an abstract piece where I'm going to use the Kuretake again, because I think for me, these are going to be best used in more abstract type paintings, more loose paintings, more free-flowing paintings, and not something that I'm trying to mimic a technique or a color. I'm going to need to use paints that I'm more familiar with, like the Winsor & Newton, whether it's their pencils or their pan paints for me, or even the Derwent Graphitint. I can mimic more of Beatrix pieces with that than I can these. So you're not going to see these again in a Beatrix Potter. However, I am still contemplating purchasing more Kuretake, and I'll talk about that when I have the abstract painting coming up. And perhaps if I had had a little bit different pink or red for the center of this flower, and if you take a look at the reference photo on my blog, you'll see what I'm talking about. I did not achieve the color in the center of this flower. It is kind of a hot pink. So I'm adding, and this is from the pans, I'm adding some more of that Rose Madder Deep to that purple because I decided to add the highlights first. That's why I added the purple in the center. and then I wanted to come back with a little bit of the rose madder on top. It's still not the color of the flower center, but I had to give it a try. So I gave it a try, and I'm going to go ahead and add a few of the little details in here. I'm not going to put the background in. We are actually going to stop with the flower because it was just a little too much. Now, this is where these paints act more like gouache. I tuck just straight white, straight out of the pan, put it over in that yellow, and then I will be painting straight from the pan to get the light highlights on the ends of the petals, and it covers things up. Look at that, just like gouache. So very opaque. I liked that quite a bit about this, but not enough to do another Beatrix Potter painting. So I do have some more Beatrix Potter coming up. As a matter of fact, be watching my posts because I found my Beatrix Potter books from my childhood, and I'm going to be painting something from those, and I'm going to give you some choices. Let you decide which Peter Rabbit or Benjamin Bunny I'm going to paint. I'm not sure yet. I'm torn. I have quite a few that I like. Now, I've already put the highlights on, and I want to do a little more dark, and normally you don't do it this way, but there was some blue on the ends of these flowers, just a light shade of blue, and they weren't really, I'm not going to say they were shadows. It was just some colors on there. So I'm adding that in. And then this piece will be finished. Thank you so much if you made it to the end. Thank you for being here. I'm always happy you're here. If you're new to the channel, I hope you will subscribe. I hope you found something helpful from this. I do all sorts of things on here and not just experimenting with Kuretake. So I hope that you will join me for that. And again, don't forget to check out my regular post, you know, the ones with words that you have to read, and vote on which Beatrix Potter you want me to do next from my children's books. And I'll have that up in a day or two, probably before this weekend. Well, thank you for joining me, my friends. I'm always happy that you're here. I do have that abstract piece coming up next, but until then, my friends, I will see you in the next one.